This is the final battle of the second run of the Final Fantasy V 4-Job Fiesta 2019. This is a classic run, meaning that it is a Final Fantasy I style party. Each of these job classes is locked onto a character. I have a knight, 2 black mages, and a red mage. We're starting off with a red mage using dual cast to put protect on 2 different characters. The red mage had to get that with a final battle after Shinryu. She was still 3 AP short of picking that up. So after beating Necrophobe and Shinryu, I had to fight one more fight to get X magic right there. So she's going to use dual cast to apply protect. I would normally avoid using Protect in a lot of battles, but because I did some grinding to pick up a few levels with this party, because it is any classic party is usually going to be a little bit grindy, they will have enough hit points to tank most attacks if they're in the back row and protected. So it's actually going to be worth not just chucking Phoenix Downs all over the place, but actually trying to keep characters close to full health because they can get hit and still take their action. That's going to be very important for the black mages. Right now, the knight has the Aegis Shield in his hand along with the Ragnarok in his other hand. The Aegis Shield is going to stop White Hole from coming during the first form of Exdeath. So as Exdeath gets through his routine, he's going to be using other things. So at the beginning, it's just Fight and White Hole that he can use. Later on, we'll start to see things like Holy can pop up, or Flare right there. And when I see that, technically, that's time probably to take the shield off. But there's my knight getting hit with the flare because at that point he becomes much more dangerous when he's below 30,000. When he gets below 10,000, that's when he can start using Meteor. So once he's halfway through-ish his life total, you really want to go all out in the offensive to get rid of this tree as fast as possible. So if you need to do any business to kind of sandbag yourself up, you want to do that at the very beginning of this fight before you've started damaging him. That's why I had the red mage putting protect on those characters, and then now the red mage is going to try as best she can to do some damage with broken thunder rods, broken whatever rods I have. I was very disappointed in the level of damage that the red mage was doing. 1,300 is pretty poor right there. So here you see the knight is taking off the Aegis shield and then using an elixir on himself to get himself back up to health as full as he can. I was able to use X magic or dual cast to do things like cast Raise and then Protect to get a character protected on the same turn that is raised. I wasn't sure if that would work if both of those spells happened simultaneously, but clearly Raise brings a character back, then Protect fires to put the Protect status on, even if the character still doesn't have the animation of standing up from the Raise spell yet. So there's a no interrupt on those animations. I'm guessing it's a no interrupt like it is on the enemies when they do 2 actions at the same time. They both apply. So the mages are casting Fire 3, single targeted with boosted rods, either the Fire Rod or the Wizard Rod. His magic defense is not quite as high as Shinryu's, so you're able to get damage through a little bit more. As we start the Neo Exdeath fight, we're going to be going after the Almagest piece. Now, this is the 4th attempt at this fight. I had to re-roll the battle to attempt number 4, and that's because I am attempting to land break on the Almagest piece of Exdeath early. Now, otherwise, I'd have to grind up until at least the knight had about 1,700 hit points. But even then, if you only have one character that can eat an Almagest, you're in trouble. So what we're doing is trying to land break. I calculated a roughly 8% chance to land break. Here's how I got those numbers. The formula for this is 2 checks that it has to make, both of which have to succeed for a spell to actually hit. The first one is what I call the level-based check. So that's the spell accuracy plus the caster level. Break is 75 spell accuracy. Caster level is 33 or 34. And so that gets us a little bit over 100 and something in the teens, minus the enemy's level. That part is level 67. So 100-something teen minus 67 gives you something in the 30-40% range, and then the magic evade is calculated after that. And that piece has an 80% magic evade, so you're only going to land 20% of those first ones that do land. So when I crunched those all up with the characters' levels that I had, I got about 8% to land. That's a roughly 1 in 12 shot. And with all of these characters hasted up, they had about 8 attempts at landing it before. So here you can see some kind of secret tech. I'm putting the chicken knife in Kryle's hand with an attempt to maybe get a 9th casting off there because the chicken knife boosts your speed by 5. But as you'll see, in this particular fight, we landed it on the very first attempt. Now remember, this is the 4th attempt at this battle, and all 4 of those attempts had 8 misses, and then Almagest killing everybody. So this actually works really strongly in our favor because I can now go after the Grand Cross piece and attempt to beat that thing down through its routine and avoid seeing a Grand Cross altogether. To do that, you have to really dump damage into it because it needs to be below certain hit point thresholds as it goes through. So you're really trying to rush it down because if you can't, then it's in bad shape. So if it gets below 30,000, it will change its routine. So if you can get it from its initial hit point of 55,000 to 30,000 before it casts its first one, when it gets a turn again, it won't continue its routine onto Grand Cross. It will stop and go, oh, whoops, I need to go to my below 30,000. And then it'll say the laws of physics are broken again. And then if you can get it below 15,000, it will change again. So if you can skip the first one, skipping the second one is much easier. And I'm breaking a Thunder Rod with the Red Mage, and I'm really disappointed in the damage readouts. Now, it gets the multi-targeting penalty, and then you have a lot of magic defense. These have around 20 magic defense. That gets subtracted from all the attack and all the multipliers. So it's really hard to get damage through with multi-targeting on these guys. So you're actually going to see dual cast used with Ferris right there. It's going to be pretty fun. So I'll do that math again before I kind of rush through it. So level 33 plus 75 minus 67 is 41. So that is the math to land break in the first part. That's the level-based check. And then when you multiply 41 times 0.2, you get 8.2. So that was Exdeath saying the laws of physics are broken. So those are the percentages. So it has to hit both of those, and that's why we have about 1 in 8. And that's why leveling up, because the magic defense dilutes it, leveling up isn't quite as strong. Going up a couple levels doesn't get you a couple percent extra chance to land. You actually have to go up like 10 levels to get another full percent because it gets diluted by spell evasion. There you saw Ferris do a dual cast on Fire 2 or Bolt 2. That's doing more damage to that piece, which is what I'm really trying to focus on. That's doing more damage to that piece than the all-targeting. I don't care about the front piece because it's just doing physical attacks. I don't care about the back piece because it's just doing single-targeting stuff too. The back piece can do either fight or magic. We call it the magic piece because a lot of the magic spells you see come from that magic part. But it does have fight in its routine. So you will sometimes see not a vacuum wave, but just a regular fight can come from that piece. So we're going with Fire 3s again, boosted by the Wizard Rod or Flame Rod into the top piece. I suppose Speed Tech probably would dictate Bolt 3 because I think that animation is a little bit faster. So there is a Fire 3 spell on one of our mages, so that came from that back piece. So he can use things like Flare, Holy, Bolt 3, Arrow 3. That pops up a lot. So here you're seeing the Red Mage is going a little bit offensive. So she's casting into the Grand Cross piece and using life. So she's getting some damage on that piece and getting a Black Mage character. Oh, no, sorry, I missed the spell right there. So she did the double protect. And now to get the most effectiveness out of that, I have to get an elixir into her because right now she'll still go down in one shot to either a physical attack or a magic spell. Magic spell will get her anyway, but a physical attack would also get her until we get this elixir thrown. So now she gets a turn, she's protected. If she gets a physical attack, I believe even a vacuum wave, if it gets halved from the back row and halved by the protect, she's in okay shape. Because you see a regular attack doing 372 is pretty good. Meanwhile, the Grand Cross piece died without us seeing a Grand Cross. So now we are going after the front piece. We're still dumping every bit of damage we can into it and just listening for the sound of the boss fading away. Odin is queued up in the magic lamp, and we are ready to cast that as soon as that piece is dead. Now, the tricky part about this, and when you can actually lose runs or successful fights, and I have actually lost them, is if the back part gets a turn while it's the only piece left. And this is pretty common Final Fantasy V lore, common knowledge, but if any one of these pieces gets a turn while it is alone, it goes into, we call it Berserk mode, although it's not actually dispelled Berserk. It goes into dual casting, stuff like Meteo, Comet, stuff like Vacuum Waves, and even worse, the worst one is Almagest. Because Almagest will guaranteed kill everybody. Even a Meteo could leave a character or two alive to use the magic lamp. So when you start to see me slow down, that means that I'm working my way down through the hit point total of that front piece, which does not change its AI routine as it goes through, by the way. Grand Cross does change its AI routine, so you don't want to leave it hanging around with low health very long. There's Delta attack, so that's a stone attack. It's basically break with some damage. And Bartz avoids it, dodges that one, but he doesn't have the Aegis shield equipped. So I am not actually sure where he got his magic evasion from. I guess it could be from the piece of armor that he was using. He must have just dodged that effect, so that's a mystery to me at this point. I was getting ready to throw a soft. But anyway, when you see us slowing down a little bit, that means we are waiting until more than one character's turn is lined up before we cue an action, because had that other piece faded away or died in that attack from the knight, then it would have been trouble waiting around until someone got their action to use the magic lamp. So here, this black mage is just waiting, and we'll wait till the ATB starts ticking again. Yes, this does mean you take more hits than you otherwise would, because we're waiting for that ATB, which means we're giving Exdeath more actions than he normally would get, because we are sitting there waiting, doing nothing while the ATB is ticking. So you can see there again, there's another attack. Normally you can get 4 or 5 attacks, or maybe 2 rounds through your characters before Exdeath does anything, but I don't want to risk having that back piece get a turn, because it can be very, very tense waiting to see if you get a turn while the back piece is alone. And so we're getting a little bit defensive here, and that means we're taking more hits or taking more damage. If this was if I was being more precision with this, I would have counted the hit points of the front piece more carefully. Normally, if you're really keeping careful track of the hit points on the front piece, that has 50,000 hit points, you can be aggressive all the way through until the last hit, or even until the last couple of hits. But for me, I was just watching a lot of those 3,000 damage hits land and not really knowing exactly where I was. And there we heard the sound fade away. We tried to target, and that's why I was due to confirm. I see where the default target goes. If that default target goes to the back, that means it's the only remaining piece, and we can use the magic lamp for the victory. So the second run of 2019 goes in the books with the defeat of Neo Exdeath on the 4th attempt, break landing on the first try. The chicken knife tech for Kara didn't actually come to fruition in this particular one. There is Exdeath fading away, and we are going to be working our way back through the void. So this is the second run of the year in 2019, but the first run that I did on the Super NES cartridge. I'm always happy when I can do a run on the cartridge, and it feels old school enough when you're playing on the cartridge without using auto dash or B dashing when you don't have a thief in your party, and you're playing it this kind of classic retro style. The next run we're going to be doing is also on the cartridge, and it's going to be a Team 750 run. We're hoping for a little bit more variety, but I also do like, I suppose you could call it easy mode kinds of runs these days when I don't have quite as much time to play many runs that can require a lot of grinding. And a lot of grinding on the console is not nearly as much fun as getting a lot of grinding done when you have access to the tools available through other means, shall we say. So that's it for this video and for run number 2. If you like this video or any of the other videos that I've had for Final Fantasy V or other games, hit the thumbs up button on here, subscribe if you haven't already. Leave a comment. I love to hear feedback either on the dangling comments below the video or on Twitter, where I am also active _ATE. We will see you in run 3.